Welcome to Season 2 of the Let's Talk podcast hosted by WellHouse Church, where we talk about what it's like to be a Christian Monday through Saturday, to be a person of faith in a culture against faith. So let's talk about just war theory.
Do we have to?
Well, Mr. Content Manager person.
I do set the content schedule. Here's the deal. We would be remiss if we talked about war at all in any kind of faith context.
Sure.
And we didn't really talk about just war theory because it's like a big conversation partner for this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want to say from the onset, I reject just war theory.
Mm-hmm.
To each their own. It may be helpful for some, but I personally believe the antagonist to the Christian story is death. So I cannot advocate for anything that's going to lead to death.
Right.
War inevitably leads to death.
Sure.
As of today, March 20th, correct? Yes, Sunday, March 20th. There have been 109 children killed in the Ukraine. Confirmed killed. I cannot ever believe that anything that leads to death, and specifically innocent death, is just. Mm-hmm. There's just that does not exist in my theological construct. So, heads up, I'm going to tell you about just war theory, but cards on the table, I'm not a fan. Okay, Clayton.
Yes.
What do you know about just war theory?
I know that it is a conversation around the idea of whether or not war can ever be just. If it is, when is it? And how do you conduct yourself within war?
Yes.
There's something along those lines.
Yes. Correct. Categorically, what it is it's a philosophy of military ethic.
Sure, yeah.
Is really what it is.
Yeah.
But just war theory is really asking two main questions. What is an acceptable reason to go to war?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the right conduct? What is the right actions in war?
Mm-hmm.
So, when someone acts outside of just war, we call them war crimes.
Yeah.
That is, if you hear someone, and if you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, and you would like to, I'm linked down below, you hear me crying war crimes on Putin all the time in my Instagram stories. And by golly, it only took Biden like 3 weeks to come out and call him a war criminal, which heebie-jeebies, I was grateful when he finally did. Anyways, so when you break just war tradition, you have committed a war crime. Mm-hmm. And what a war crime is quote unquote, an atrocity of war. That's what we call it. Atrocity of war. So, Clayton, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with like conduct in combat, or do you want to start with a just reason to go to war?
I think you start with a just reason to go to war.
Okay. So let's do this. What would you think would be a just cause for someone to go to war?
Defending your home.
Okay.
Yeah.
What most people say is that, which I think is what you're saying, is that just cause can be protecting innocent life from imminent danger.
Yeah, essentially.
So, for instance, if, hypothetically, somebody hijacked a U.S. plane
Mm-hmm.
and had 300 Americans that they were threatening to murder. According to just war theory, that would be an acceptable reason to go to war with someone.
Mm-hmm.
What is not an acceptable reason cannot be solely for recapturing things taken or punishing people who have done wrong. Innocent life must be in imminent danger, and intervention must be to protect life. So, if that's the criteria, did Putin have just cause to go to war?
No.
Okay.
I don't think anybody actually... well, never mind. We're not going to have that conversation.
Actually, we are about to have that conversation.
Okay.
So why do I hear Christians saying that this is acceptable behavior?
Yeah, see, that's the one for me, man, that I really cannot wrap my head around. There are people being slaughtered because one dude had too much power. Like, I can't fathom that. 109 confirmed children.
Yeah, confirmed.
Yeah.
Just children.
Yeah, just children dead.
Yeah, they did a demonstration today. They put 109 strollers, empty strollers, out in a parking lot. I put it on my Instagram stories. It's quite a graphic sight.
It's awful.
And here's the other thing that I'm like appalled at. Nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
I can't believe how little I hear people out in the world talking about this.
I think about it regularly. And that's not to toot my own horn. It's just, I don't know, like in my own construct, I guess, like this is just horrific to me. And I don't know. And I don't understand why. I don't understand in my brain. I cannot justify not caring in any way.
Well, it's pretty... Go ahead.
It seems like there's so many fundamentalist, white, American, evangelical Christians out there that are like, yeah, okay. And I don't know.
Honestly, I'll never understand it. I won't.
I can't wrap my head around that.
I'll never understand how Christians can defend Trump to the grave. I'll never understand how they can defend Putin to the grave. I'll never understand how they think any of that lines up with any kind of Christian mission. I'll never understand how Christian nationalism is such a big thing. I'll never understand any of it. I just won't. And honestly, it's quite appalling to me. Mm-hmm. Like lots of times I feel embarrassed to call myself a Christian. Yeah. Not because I'm embarrassed of the message of Jesus. Yeah. Heck, I'm getting it tattooed on my freaking arm. I'm not embarrassed by the message of Jesus at all, but I am very embarrassed of the way in which some people represent the message of Jesus.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they seem to be the loudest.
Mm-hmm. And so remember that thing? Did you see that thing? Yes, you did. That the New Evangelical posted, when Putin quoted that verse from Jesus, what no better cause to die than for a friend or whatever.
Yeah, greater love.
No greater love than this than a man.
Than someone lay down their life for a friend.
Yeah.
That's why, and I don't mean this. I'm going to say something that's going to sound very harsh, and I don't mean it that way at all. I'm just struggling at 10 o'clock for the categories and the vocabulary for how to say this. So forgive me. I'm not intending to be controversial or offensive. That's why fundamentalist Christians like it.
Because he can quote scripture.
Justify it. Because they've got
justify it.
Yeah, he can drop a Bible verse and tell some story, and it somehow makes it okay. And I say all of that to say, because if you look at it, fundamentalist Christianity is a very Southern thing.
True.
It's a very Bible Belt thing. Historically, those in the South are less educated. And I don't mean that to be rude. However, what I do mean is that they've not been taught in any kind of formal educational setting how to do critical thinking, how to think through the messages that they're being shown critically in order to dissect a truth. And so what the former educational tactic is, hey, you be a sponge and absorb everything I throw at you. Hence, do you see the epistemological, pedagogical problem that we've created?
Yes.
Any message thrown is absorbed. Versus now, in a rise of an education and informational age, when we're being taught critical thinking and more people are going to college and learning this, because we now live in an information age where everyone's being, I'm doing a philosophical rant here because I'm trying to correct the conundrum I've made. And when Clayton looked at me, the way I said it, I knew I was offensive, and I'm not trying to be offensive. Yeah, that was
not a great way to say that.
But in an information age where everybody's being blasted with information and messages, you must be able to think critically in order to build or create a truth.
Sure.
And so the epistemological journey of finding truth, creating truth, looks very different today than it did back in the day. And so, because the pedagogy has changed, because epistemology has changed, now people don't just accept messages as they come in.
Right.
But historically, Southern people, conservative, rural, less educated, that's the pedagogy they were taught. That's how they do messaging. And it just so happens they identify as Christians, specifically ones that want to be faithful to the Bible, and they drop Bible verses or gas people in order to go to a church and take a picture with a Bible. But to each their own. Do you not remember that story about President Trump?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah. He had to tear gas some people around the January 6th stuff so that he could go down the street and take a picture in front of a church with a Bible. He tear gassed people in order to do that.
Yeah, I
never
heard that story.
He's a wealthy white dude who wanted to take a picture in front of a church with a Bible.
Oh, yeah. Shouldn't we let him do that?
So it's totally okay that he tear gassed people in order for him to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard that story.
Yep. So,
That's
anyways,
awful.
there's my rant about that. Now, let's talk about the ethic of combat.
Okay.
Clayton.
Don't take innocent lives.
Okay, let's
just don't kill people that don't need dead. Like
need more be said. Is it that hard?
Yeah. Don't bomb children's hospitals.
Don't bomb maternity wards. Don't bomb apartment buildings.
Like,
Don't bomb nuclear power plants, you idiot.
That is grade A stupidity to me. Like, whatever. Don't kill innocent people. And, like, I don't think you need scripture. I don't think you need anything to support that. Don't take innocent lives. You know who does?
Putin.
People with severe psychological disorders. take innocent lives and feel no remorse.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Man, I don't know. I've never seen his medical records. I don't know if I can speak to his psychosis.
I mean, I'm not. All I'm saying is historically and categorically, that is what we see.
True.
To take innocent lives and feel no remorse comes with severe psychological disorders or pain in some way, some sort of psychological issue.
Yeah. Trauma.
Which Putin probably got a lot of, like, if we're being honest.
I mean, KGB, dude. Yeah.
Probably got a lot of.
That stuff ain't no joke. Okay. So don't kill innocents.
Don't kill innocents.
What else might be like an ethic of combat? There are two more big ones that you need to hit.
I
mean, you don't have to,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we have to hit. Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you heard any of the things that people are calling war crimes for right now, other than killing innocents?
They all come back to that, though.
Not
like
exactly.
In some way.
Not exactly. The manner in which you do combat also is important, right? So, no vacuum bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what these are?
I don't know exactly how they work, but I know they're bad.
Okay. Basically, what a vacuum bomb is, it's a bomb that when it goes off, it extracts every bit of oxygen in an area. And so in some cases, it literally turns people's lungs inside out because it takes every bit of oxygen. It goes into people and literally sucks the life right out of them.
Jeez.
That's a vacuum bomb. That not just war. That's inhumane.
Heinous.
You should not be able to use those. Putin has dropped many of those in Ukraine. Cluster bombs are another one. I won't geek out on the military rhetoric here, but there are lots of manners of doing warfare that are now considered inhumane, are not acceptable ethic in combat. You cannot use those types of combatant technology. Third one. Don't harm people who have surrendered. Which, to be fair, we don't know that. I mean, I don't think anybody's doing that because Ukrainian people are pretty proud right now. I don't know that anybody's surrendering. I think everybody's kind of fighting to the death. But don't harm people that are surrendering. Those are your three kind of main rules of combat. The main big ones: take care of innocent life. Don't bomb residential centers. Stay away from children. Stay away from women. And Putin hadn't done any of it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're honest, he didn't have cause to invade.
Yep.
And since he's invaded, he's done nothing but harm civilians. Now, granted, I mean, he's also fighting a war.
Sure.
And so they are doing military fighting, but golly, he has killed a ton of civilians. And honestly, if I can just be real, there's just no excuse. I don't care. If you have one, I'm willing to say that, this is a hill that's worth dying on for me. And I'm okay if you're pissed off at me that I'm mad about this. I really don't care.
Yeah.
You can email me if it's that big of a problem. But I'll also just be forewarned, I'm not going to care that you're mad that I'm mad. That's just like, no, this is, if you were looking for the line you don't cross,
this is it.
It's innocent death. Like we're not playing around here anymore. I'm not making grace for this. This is unacceptable and heinous behavior. We're going to call it oppressive, abusive, toxic behavior, just like it is. Mm-hmm. It's not just. It has not been just. No. It will not be just, and it needs to be stopped. Mm-hmm. I don't want anyone at WellHouse going around speaking any of this nonsense, that any of this is okay, or that any of it's just, or any of that. If we come back to a place where, if this escalates to World War III and other people begin to get involved, we can come back to have a conversation about just war and the ways in which these other people get involved, because now you have a question about protecting innocent life, like coming to Ukraine's aid.
Right.
So we can have that conversation at another time. At this point, I would be appalled if anyone that was connected to WellHouse Church said that anything that Putin is doing is just or good or ordained by God. I'm going to let everybody know WellHouse Church is going to call bullshit on all of that repeatedly.
Agreed. Thanks for listening to the Let's Talk podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoyed the episode. It's free and it helps us immensely. Also, feel free to check out our other podcasts.